The science is controlling me to listen to WMNF Tampa.
The opinions presented on the Healthy Steps show are the evidence-based opinions of Dr. Fred Harvey, the callers, and his guests. These are not the opinions of the staff, the volunteers, or the board of WMNF. The information provided on the show is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease. There is no implied patient-physician relationship in these calls. The nature of the calls is educational and informational only.
Good morning to you, my dear listeners, and all you radio vagabonds. It is spectacular to be in the sanctuary of the studio with you on this Monday morning. I cannot thank you enough for keeping your radio locked to WMNF Tampa, the benchmark of community-supported radio from Tampa Bay to the Gulf of Mexico, and the only station that Babe Levy streams when he's out jogging. And you can stream us as well at WMNF.org. Today is Ask Me Anything Monday. This is not your day to be the shy wallflower. You know what to do. If you have any medical questions or concerns, please give us a call at 813-239-9663. That number again is 813-239-9663. You can also send an email to dj@wmnf.org or text us at 813-433-0885. Good morning to you, Dr. Harvey. AMA Monday is always a gangbuster, so I'm going to stop my yakking and give you the mic. What have you got for us today, Dr. Fred? Are you there, Dr. Fred?
Yes, I am. Sorry about that.
Welcome.
Holiday weekend. I was still on holiday.
Well, good. We're glad for that, but we're glad you're here, too.
I'm glad I'm here, too. And I got to tell you that I am not controlled by, quote unquote, the science. But I got to wonder if ridiculous freaking Kennedy is. I think I'm going to have probably a weekly little start-off segment. What's RFK doing to destroy healthcare today? Every Monday. I'll probably start with it. So this time, he's trying to get a publication, a well-respected, peer-reviewed journal, to retract a study that refutes one of his basic premises, that everything about vaccines is bad. But this journal proved, with looking at like 1.2 million people, children, that aluminum as an adjunct doesn't actually increase the problems that poor RFK thinks it does. And he put out a refutation that was, he had some assistance in writing it from a bunch of the people in the pseudoscientists that are, no, I shouldn't say that. They are actually scientists that aren't willing to actually accept that their premise is wrong. You know, science is built on the premise that you could be wrong. And actually every clinical research study is really not devised to prove that you're right. It's actually devised to prove that you're wrong. Really, every scientific study is designed to try and show that this doesn't work. And that's the beauty of it, because if they can't prove that it doesn't work, obviously it's working. And so they looked at 1.2 million kids in Denmark and found that no, the premise that aluminum causes all these problems isn't real. And he asked the journal to retract it. And the journal did the right thing and said, ma-ha-ha-ha, 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 and laughed at him and said, go away. And then every scientist involved with the research refuted all the questions that the people had about it. And they're valid questions. That's the point. They're really valid questions that these real scientists are asking about the study. But they're not allowing for the actual clinical answer, because the answer supports the study and refutes their erroneous idea that this is a problem. And so it's really good that science is science, and scientists, not quotes the science, this political thing that I think the right wing made up, but science is a real thing, and scientists are real humans. And most humans, I believe, want to do good. And I think RFK wants to do good, but, you know, delusions interfere with ability to make right decisions. Belief systems, the abbreviation for belief systems is BS. And so BS can really block your ability to make critically logical and valid decisions. Enough said. Moving on. Happy Labor Day, everybody. I want to take today and spend a few minutes talking about labor because it's what we all do. Everybody goes to work except for, trillionaires, but even they might go to work because they want to make more trillions. So work is what we do, and we're celebrating the American worker today. And I believe the American worker deserves to be celebrated. Thank you for all the work you do. All the service industries, all the people in the fields picking vegetables, all the techs, nurses, and other people in hospitals that supported everyone's illness throughout the pandemic in that horrible time. Workers are wonderful, and workers need support, and workers need a stronger voice. And Amy Goodman's show inspired me to talk more about workers today because unions, yes, unions are pro-health, and I'm pro-health, and I hope you're pro-health too. So let's talk about it. There is sizable evidence in the United States from the 1930s to today that link unions to better health through higher wages and benefits, safer workplaces, and stronger worker voice. And with that voice, I just want to mention, we're in Florida. It's a right to fire state. They euphemize it by saying it's a right to work state, and they say you have the right to work even if you're not in a union, but that means that the employer has the right to fire you for basically anything. So it's really a union-busting law. It's a employer-focused support law. It has nothing to do with the employee. And so over this past century, more people are looking at this relationship. Recent studies connect union membership to lower mortality. And so let's look at some of the things that research has found. Unions increase the likelihood that employers will offer health insurance. Well, honestly, I think there's a better way to do that. We're the only first world nation that actually does this. We really need to have a universal healthcare system. And then we wouldn't need the unions to fight for their health care. I think everybody deserves access to illness care, and they do their own health care. I teach people to do health care. It's very simple. Take some healthy steps to begin with. The National, it's a labor board, I can't remember what it stands for, but there's so many research articles about the affordability of healthcare coverage and the availability. Workplace safety and injuries. Unionized workplaces tend to have stronger safety programs and comply with OSHA reporting. And so there's less serious injuries, lost time claims in unionized shops. Here's an interesting one. During the 2020 to 2021 COVID pandemic, U.S. nursing homes that had unionized staff had 11% lower resident COVID mortality and 7% lower worker infection than non-union facilities. Overall mortality is reduced. They've shown that there's an estimate of protective union mortality association with a 10% lowered mortality risk under union scenario than non-union. This is from epidemiology in 2021. Just this year, a social science and medicine paper showed that each additional year spent in a unionized job is linked to 1.5% lower odds of death. And its strongest protection is for men and workers without college degrees. And it has also been associated with a lowered overdose and suicide mortality rate. Mental health is improved. Psychological distress is reduced. Unions plausibly influence health through income improvement, decreasing inequality, and the benefits, job security, ongoing money helps people buy better food and get more access to healthcare, and the voice. In non-union shops, if you open your mouth, it's likely you'll be fired. If you open it at a union shop, you're going to be protected, and you might actually get the boss to fix the problem that's killing people. And over the last 100 years, from the 30s to the 70s, the expansion of collective bargaining increased safety nets. In the 1980s, what unions do documented the wage benefit gains and lower turnover to help the stability of our economy. So it even helps the economy of the nation. And so the experiment around COVID is pretty good analysis. Think about it. Union shops had lower mortality for both the for the residents and lower infection for the workers. So there are when you unionize a nurse shop, you get better outcomes. 12 of 13 nurse-sensitive quality measures were better under acute care in unionized shops. 30% lowered COVID-19 mortality early in the pandemic, finally boiled down to 11% and 7%, which I mentioned before. The staffing and mortality links show across the board, without the COVID, there's lower mortality and better nurse-reported outcomes in post-surgical incidents. Workers have substantially reduced caregiver injuries. Healthcare workers hurt their backs lifting patients all the time. And so a union shop helps people learn to do it better so they have less injuries. And then when you actually have unionized shop, you get better equipment, fewer injuries, quality gains, compensation improves retention and morale. And so the gains occur by improving staffing, having more people there, more people stay, and thus you have a stable staff that is able to work like a team together and support each other. The reduction in safety problems with better safety equipment, better protective equipment, and then their ability to report adherence to infection control issues, things like that. Reminders even just to wash your hands may happen more because the team is more focused. And, this is not, a solid proof like any study out there. There's many things, indicators here that suggest it would be better. And I think that many people suggest that their lives under union shops are better. But there's also the issue that when you have a good employer that does these things without the union, then you still have good morale. And they have actually looked at differences in Florida even, and they've shown that union members earn 9% more than non-union members. Half the people surveyed said that the union was very good, and less than a quarter didn't like the union. And I'm not sure why. They didn't say why, but unions are well liked by union members for lots of reasons. The unions shops actually allow more patient hours for the nurse with the patient in the nursing home. With union-backed State Bill 1202 in Florida, it went from 1.7 hours of direct patient care to 2.9 hours. It almost doubled the patient care. It's pretty amazing. And nurse-to-patient ratios are better. Union shops have better nurse-to-patient ratios. Non-union shops have worse ratios, and for each additional patient assigned to an RN, it increases patient mortality risk by 7%. And adding one full-time RN per day was tied to 9% fewer ICU deaths, 16% fewer surgical deaths, and 6% fewer medical patient deaths. Union shops save lives and have better outcomes for clients in Florida. And so there are a lot of unionized hospitals in the area. Tampa Bay has HCA hospitals. Many of them, I think, at least 8 of them were under union contract. Some of the other ones that are unionized, St. Petersburg General, Northside, Largo, Medical Center at Trinity, Blake Medical, Oak Hill Center, Doctors Hospital of Sarasota. Sarasota Memorial is not a union hospital, but they seem to have high reviews, good morale, because the system, when you read the reviews of Sarasota Memorial employees, the hospital supports them. They support their education. They support the teams. It's actually a patient-focused hospital. It's a public hospital, and it should be, because our tax dollars support it. And it does a very good job. For a non-union shop, it's actually pretty impressive as far as overall care and morale. And with that, I would like to open it up. I know we at this point, there's no callers and no emails. I think it's a holiday weekend, and I didn't start off with a medical complaint. But should you like to discuss your medical issues today, this is the Healthy Steps Show, and I'm Dr. Fred Harvey.
And indeed, Dr. Fred, let's invite people to participate. So if you're just joining on in, you are listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa, and it is Ask Me Anything Monday. So Maddie came on in special to handle the phones, and we're inviting you to give us a jingle at 813-239-9663 so we can put her to work for her efforts of showing on up on Labor Day. Again, that number is 813-239-9663, or you can send your emails to dj@wmnf.org. Back to you there, Doctor.
Thank you. Well, I just have so many interesting health news issues that have come out. I have been blown away by an article that was just published, and it's a news article. It wasn't the actual, I haven't been to the myriad of articles published about this now, but since I got out of residency, I have been prescribing a medication for everyone who has had a heart attack, because the clinical research in the 80s showed that, and the 90s, and it was confirmed even into the early 2000s, that when you use this medication, you reduce the risk of another heart attack by, say, 50% over the next year. And so everybody got put on these medications. The medication is called a beta blocker. Propranolol, atenolol, timolol, bisoprolol. All these medications are chemicals that block the signal of adrenaline in your heart and your vascular system. Adrenaline makes your blood pressure be higher. It makes your heart rate go faster. And so it slows down the heart rate. It slows down it lowers the blood pressure. And these slight changes in the 80s actually were really beneficial. But things have changed. And in that intervening couple of decades, we've had some better management of the acute heart attack. And so after I finished my residency is when we got the first balloon angioplasties. This is before we had those metal cage stents that go over the balloon and help keep the artery open. So after I graduated, we added the balloon. A couple years later, they added the stent, and then many more new anti-clotting agents, blood thinners. And with the advent of the popping the artery open with the balloon and the cage and the medications that prevent new clots in the area, we've had a really significant reduction, one, in damage to the heart, and two, in recurrent heart attacks, because it's being managed medically better. And what they found out now is that this beta blocker, in people that haven't had heart damage, and you think about it, if you go in while you're having a heart attack and you get a balloon put in your heart artery and you stop the heart attack, you're going to have less heart damage. And so what they found out is that women who usually have smaller hearts and usually get less damage initially than their heart attacks, I think, most of the women actually got worse. They were more likely to have another heart attack or get hospitalized for heart failure because it slowed down their heart too much, it weakened the heart, and it wasn't the appropriate medication. The weird thing is, though, that people that have more damage, men, often put up with the pain and get a bigger heart attack, and end up with a pump that's not functioning as well. They found that if the pump function is less than 40% of normal, then the people actually do better. When a pump is functioning at less than 40% of normal, it's called heart failure, congestive heart failure. And so beta blockers treat congestive heart failure, but in people that don't have it, it might induce it and cause the problem. It's such a very complex situation. But people that have normal hearts should never be on this beta blocker because it may actually cause them to have the heart attack later, a second one. And people, though, with low pump function actually will benefit from it. So it becomes more complex, but it used to be every person with a heart attack got this medication. Now we have to be much more selective before we even consider using it. And so I think this is a perfect example of why we can't trust open quote unquote the science, because the science is locked away in opinionated news articles, but science reexamines itself all the time, and it keeps asking more specific questions and keeps coming up with more specific answers. I don't see people with acute heart attacks. I used to, but if I were doing it, I would never prescribe a beta blocker now without knowing if the person has a functional pump. That's almost always done when a person's admitted to the hospital with a heart attack, so you know whether or not. But there's so many nuances in the way we look at these things that it's just difficult sometimes to be able to manage all the information, especially as a primary care doctor. So I believe we have somebody who wants to talk about this stuff.
Indeed we do. I've got Gwen waiting patiently, and I'm sorry I'm going to make her wait a few more seconds while I invite people to call on in. You're listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF. And yes, the show kind of depends on your questions and concerns. So give us a jingle. It's 813-239-9663. As I've said, Maddie has come on in to take the calls. So the number is 813-239-9663. And I see that that's made some effort, some success. We've got a caller that's also coming on in, but I'm going to go to Gwen in Tampa. Good morning, Gwen.
Good morning.
Hi, Gwen.
Hi, Dr. Fred. I have a pretty good heart, thanks to the good Lord, I do. My question is about zinc. Are there any good benefits for taking zinc? I'm trying to take it, but I have a constipation problem.
Well, what's the complication with you taking zinc?
Constipation.
Oh, constipation. So you probably need some magnesium. Do you take magnesium?
Oh, okay.
Do you take any magnesium?
No, I haven't taken magnesium.
Okay, so you could take like magnesium glycinate or something like that in a supplement form. But another source of constipation is water intake. Do you get 8 good solid glasses of water into you every day?
I try. I drink 4 16-ounce bottles.
There you go. That's really a great basis. Okay. So zinc, you don't really need a lot of it if you're getting a very wide variety in your diet, like 8 different vegetable, fruit, etc. per day, plus grains, plus meat. You're going to be getting a lot of the minerals that you need out of your food. But zinc glycinate, Glycinate, is very well absorbed, and it shouldn't cause constipation. And if you take maybe 20 milligrams of that a day, that shouldn't be too much. But you could even just get a good multivitamin, and it usually has a bit of zinc in there to supplement. And that's usually within the recommended daily allowances of the vitamins, and it's a good baseline to start with. I would look for a good multivitamin that has what's called chelated minerals, Chelated. It's like the zinc glycinate. That's a chelated mineral. They're very well absorbed. They're attached to amino acids, and you want to look for those in your vitamins. And there's a company that's got the patent on it. They've actually developed a way of making them attach as a solid chemical, and so they're really well absorbed. It's called Albion Labs, Albion. And if you look at your vitamin at the health food store and it has a little gold seal that says Albion on it, you know it's got the best minerals available on the planet.
Oh, okay. And I can pull that off a Walgreens shelf?
You should be able to do that, or Whole Foods, or whatever your local health food store is, or Amazon. These places, these things are everywhere.
Oh, okay. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You're very welcome.
Okie dokie. Thank you there, Gwen. And yes, I've got Justine and Sarasota on the line, but they're just straggling on in. It must be that Labor Day leisurely start your day kind of thing. Second cup of coffee, waiting to participate in the Healthy Steps radio show. So give us a call. Here it is, 813-239-9663. And yes, you too can participate in the Healthy Steps radio show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF. It's really simple. Give us a call at 813-239-9663 or send your emails to dj@wmnf.org. Good morning, Justine. What have you got for us?
Hi, good morning.
Hey there.
Continuing on with the heart issues, I had a blood calcium test recently, and my doctor put me on a low 10 milligram statin, rosuvastatin. I've been reading that I should take CoQ10 with that, but I was wondering, is there a test for CoQ10 and whether or not you're deficient? And if not, how do you know if you should take it, and what should the dosage be?
Good questions. And it's unfortunately that your primary care doctor doesn't mention that statins deplete CoQ10 in everybody that takes them. And you can get a CoQ10 test to see what your level is. And I believe that Quest does it and Genova Laboratories does it. But you could also just add CoQ10, because I believe that anybody who takes a statin should be taking CoQ10. But you started off your discussion saying that you got a blood calcium test?
Correct.
So what was your calcium level?
I believe it was 210.
Oh, that's not a blood calcium level. That's a coronary calcium score.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yes, that's the name.
Okay. Well, so the coronary calcium score is a analysis of how much scarring you have in your heart arteries, because calcified plaque is old injury. And so what you really want to know, I don't do coronary calcium scoring anymore because it's 25-year-old technology. I'm using 21st century technology, and it's called the Clearly AI, and it uses machine learning to look at the data that comes from a coronary calcium score and look at the soft plaque. Soft plaque is the important plaque. Soft plaque is what ruptures and causes heart attacks and strokes. Hard plaque doesn't do that. It's trapped behind the hard plaque. The soft plaque is gooey, it's rancid, and it's inflammatory. And you can assess that.
Could you repeat the name of that test, please?
The test is clearly CLEERLYAI. And you can get that at any good radiology center that does the coronary calcium scores. They usually have that extra software. If you have cardiac disease, and you do because you have a coronary calcium score of 200, then your insurance might pay for the Clearly AI. Most of my clients get it paid for. And then the way you assess metabolically the rancid soft plaque in your arteries is a test that Quest Laboratories does. It was actually developed by Cleveland Heart Labs, and Cleveland Heart Labs was bought by Quest because they saw it was such a valuable test. And it is an assessment of different inflammatory markers that describe the progression of soft, nasty plaque in your artery linings, going from rancid fats and rancid cholesterol to mild inflammatory indicators like high sensitive C-reactive protein, and then proceeding on to more definitive and more plaque-direct, plaque-associated markers like myeloperoxidase, abbreviated MPO, and LPPLA2. These are white blood cell markers that come from rancid pussy plaque on the arteries that are ripe for rupture and event. And what I do is I watch my clients' Cleveland Heart Labs inflammatory indicators improve so that we know that their heart is getting better. And then a year later, we do another clearly to see that the soft plaque is reduced. So we can actually track the resolution of the problem in real time rather than just guessing that a statin might be doing it. It's a good guess, though, because statins have an amazing track record of reducing plaque.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the dosage for CoQ10?
I take 100 milligrams a day.
And
I don't take a statin.
I've seen CoQ10 with like red yeast or vitamin E. Just any particular makeup of the CoQ10?
Ubiquinol. Ubiquinol is the alcohol version. It's better absorbed, and it's the active form. So I would get 100 milligrams of ubiquinol. I use Zymogen or Designs for Health for the source, and they're both really highly effective.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Yes, thank you very much there, Justine. And we've had a couple of emails to come on in, but that's not going to keep me happy. I love callers. I want you to give us a jingle at 813-239-9663 and ask your medical questions to Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa's Healthy Steps radio show. Again, Maddie's taking the calls, so give us a jingle at 813-239-9663 or continue to send your emails to dj@wmnf.org. All right there, Doctor. Back to you.
Wonderful. Marie, not Maria, sends an email. I have a pacemaker defibrillator due to left bundle branch block. So she has a device inserted into her body that monitors her heart rhythm and rate. And if it deviates, if it goes below a certain rhythm, it will start putting electrical beats into her heart so it beats normally. Or if it goes crazy, a defibrillator actually will shock the heart so that it will stop a deadly rhythm like ventricular fibrillation. Left bundle branch block means there's a conduction problem in the heart, so it does result in more arrhythmia. So she has a device that probably is extending her life nicely. But the doctor also has her on a beta blocker called propranolol. I've used that one for many years. It's a really good drug, actually. But her heart is possibly pumping fine, she says, and she's had no instances in 10 years. Is there a possibility she can do without a beta blocker? And what's really interesting is I was reading a study last year, and they asked a question of medical specialists. The question was this: you have a patient on a medication. The patient is having a complication, an adverse consequence of taking the medication. Will you stop the medication? Well, cardiology as a whole was the least likely to respond to patient distress and remove the medication. They have a very bizarre BS belief system that makes them keep people on medication longer than they need it. For example, there's a medication called Plavix. It's given to people after stents, at least it was. They've shifted. Plavix had a utility for 1 year. After a year, there was no benefit. They showed that no reduction in heart attacks occurred after taking it for a year. But for the first year, it reduced your heart attack risk by like 80%. Perfect. No heart attack, no cardiologist would take patients off the Plavix. Well, it's not doing anything bad to you, so why don't you keep taking it? Well, it's not doing anything good, so why keep taking it? You know, why support pharma when you don't need to? Is my general rule. And so, yes, you may take some information to your cardiologist, but it's highly unlikely, Marie, that he's going to stop your beta blocker. He'll probably try to scare you into thinking something's going to happen. That's usually the methodology. My husband went to a surgeon for an issue last week. The surgeon fear-mongered him into not doing anything. He started off with, I don't want to actually do this for you. Like, why did he even book the appointment? People are so weird sometimes. But the beta blocker issue is that I think if you have a strong case for getting off of it, why not? If your heart is partially in failure, like if you have a 40% heart function, you may actually get benefit from taking the beta blocker. So I think it's a nuanced discussion to have with the cardiologist before you actually make any decisions. I think we have callers.
We actually have two. I've got Christina in St. Pete and Fonda in Brandon. Let's go to Christina. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning and happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day.
So, yes, good day. And I'm actually on my first cup of coffee, so I'm going to try to ask this question as articulately as I can. So my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer about 6 weeks ago, stage 1. I believe it's estrogen receptor cancer, I believe. She had a double mastectomy last Tuesday, doing great in that regard and coming through the surgery. Pathology reports came back as no cancer in the lymph nodes. But my question is, a cancer does run in our family. My mother's mother died at 59 from colon cancer, and her father died at 71 from bone cancer. And we have a lot of cousins. So what would cause this cancer at almost age 75 for her? I'm just curious, it's a broad question, but moving forward, what can we do to keep it from hopefully not coming back in the future?
Well, I think you have a really positive result here. You have a stage 1 cancer with no nodes, estrogen receptor positive, some raloxifene to be anti-estrogen and build the bones at the same time. Not a bad thing. What causes cancer? Toxicity and inflammation. Estrogen can be an inflammatory molecule. Was your mother ever on estrogen replacement?
Actually, she's been on HRT since her early 30s when she had a hysterectomy and her hot flashes. This is the first time over 40, 50 years she's been off hormones, and the hot flashes have been the worst part of this for her. She can't even sleep.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you know what hormones she was taking? What brand names or what actual chemicals?
Not entirely sure, but she was given the patch for many, many years from her gynecologist.
Okay, so she probably wasn't getting any progesterone. Progesterone is the buffer for estrogen. And I believe that a lot of breast cancers happen because people don't get the buffer of natural progesterone. There's a poison out there called Provera, medroxyprogesterone. It's a proven poison. It causes dementia, derangement in emotions. It causes breast cancer, heart attacks, all kinds of things. But it's still on the market. And they use it in young women for birth control. It's hideous. They also use it in elderly women for hormone replacement. It's not a hormone. It's a poison. Provera, medroxyprogesterone. If you see it anywhere on any labels, you know it caused the cancer that's involved.
Gotcha.
So the key here is your mother has a really good outlook. But I think the key is to think about several things. One, daily exercise is critical for reducing recurrent cancer. 30 minutes of daily walking actually has been proven to reduce the recurrence. If she's not walking, get her walking. And go to a Whole30 kind of diet, a whole foods diet, the diet I talk about all the time, 80% plant, 20% animal. Eat a rainbow. Get 35 grams of fiber daily in your diet, because 35 grams of fiber daily reduces your risk of recurrent breast cancer by 30%.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Harvey. Those are tangible things to put into action immediately. I really appreciate it.
They're easy, healthy steps. Build your own health. Don't wait for the system to screw it up.
Right. And I'm going to definitely look into what brand she was on for all those years. That being said, from what I understand, she'll never be able to be on any type of hormone replacement again then because of...
Well, you might want to find a functional medicine doctor. I have a patient who is, his prostate cancer was diagnosed in 2007. We flew to Cancun, Mexico to get an experimental procedure that wasn't done here then, but it is here now. And his prostate cancer went away. 3 years later, he was feeling so terrible, he went back on testosterone replacement. And that was in 2010. He is still on testosterone replacement, feeling vibrant, going to the gym every day, and thriving. He's 93.
Wow. Oh, my God. Well, that's a wonderful story for a Monday. Thank you for that inspiration, Dr. Harvey.
Glad to.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Take care.
Thank you very much there, Christina. And I've got a full board now here and 15 minutes to unload it. Let's go to Fonda in Brandon. Good morning, Fonda.
Good morning.
Hi.
2 weeks ago, I was feeling really tired at work. First of all, I'm 75 now. I hadn't been taking any medications all this time.
Excellent.
And came down with pneumonia. I had a lot of symptoms and just became incredibly weak. And the next day, I took myself to the emergency room and got treated.
Did they diagnose the type of bacteria?
No, I did not hear that. They may have. I did ask if it was viral or bacterial, and they said bacterial. That's all I know.
Okay.
Then I was at a function 4 nights before that day, so might have caught something from there. But I was released from the hospital after 2 days, and the fever kept rising. So I had an appointment at my PCP and walked in to the office, and they had taken my vitals. The doctor came in and said, "I've called the hospital. You're going. The EMT's on the way," because my heart rate was high and blood pressure low. Now I'm being medicated for AFib, and I said I've been told that it's not going to be a permanent thing, probably, but I want to prepare myself for living without medications.
Yeah, pulmonary problems put a strain on the heart, on the specific part of the heart that is involved with AFib. And so as your pneumonia improves, you actually may find that the atrial fibrillation is an episodic thing and resolves.
Uh-huh.
And you said something.
That, yes.
You said something interesting about this event. You said you were at a group function before you got these symptoms?
Yes, on a Friday night. And then I became.
Were you in a facility or outside?
Oh, it was inside a dining area, large room.
Did anyone else get sick?
I heard that there were. I only heard about colds, and I think I heard about one person or maybe 2 having COVID. But I was tested for COVID, and I didn't have that.
I'm questioning, since you're in a group, that could this be Legionnaire's disease? Florida has because we're hot, we're humid, we use air conditioning. Air conditioning systems grow Legionella bacteria, and Florida has 200, 300 cases annually, and it's not well diagnosed, so it's probably way over that amount because I think many people don't get diagnosed with it, but Florida sees as much as 60% of all cases of Legionella. It happens in group settings because the air conditioning spews it on people. The symptoms include fever, chills, headaches, muscle aches, fatigue, and then pneumonia, shortness of breath, sometimes chest pain.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't know. It could be with more people getting it, but then again, there are other things going around. Summer viruses, COVID is still here, but COVID isn't necessarily directly associated with pneumonia. As soon as you said pneumonia in that setting, I thought Legionnaires.
Okay.
And it may be worth it to actually talk to your doctor and or the health department, because if more people are reported as being at that place, they may investigate it.
All right, then. I will do that. I'll follow up.
And you do probably need follow-up and continued treatment. You're getting better because you're on antibiotics, which is great. And Legionella responds to antibiotics. So best wishes with improving from this and figuring out what caused it.
Yes, thank you. I'll be talking with one of the doctors from the hospital today.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okie doke, let's go to Ben in Palm Harbor. Good morning, Ben.
Hey, Dr. Harvey. I'm calling about hello there. I'm calling about an illness that seems to be very underserved by the medical community.
What's that?
My 18-year-old son has ARFID, which is an eating disorder called avoidant restrictive food intake disorder.
Okay.
It's very different from anorexia nervosa, which is driven by body image issues and which causes undereating and the desire to be thin, over-exercise, that kind of thing. This is simply presents as someone who does not receive enough hunger cues, so he's not hungry, and when he eats, he's full after a few bites. So we've been over a year in formal treatment, which has included residential care and all the step-down treatments after that. And he still has to live in a highly structured schedule in order, with constant supervision, so to speak, to be able to consume enough calories to hit his nutritional needs. I'm calling just to see, this is a very persistent, pervasive problem.
Yes.
But calling to see what you, from the functional medicine side, what you think of that or approaches that you all may have.
Actually, they would be the same kind of approaches that are currently being used with it. I'm not really familiar with the diagnosis, but all of these food disorders are best handled with a care team. Cognitive behavioral therapy might help. I mean, you're already doing all these things, but I wonder, I have a problem with, classifying this as a DSM-5 disorder. I don't necessarily believe that most psychiatric disorders are psychiatric disorders. And I just did a quick look here just while we're talking, and so there may be a connection with hormones, ghrelin and leptin. And so actually, this could truly be a metabolic problem that's being treated as a psychiatric one. And I think that there's an opportunity for a lot more research here, but it looks like they're already doing it. People are finding that there are changes in these hormones in people, but is it due to the fact that they're avoiding the food, or is the avoidance due to that? We need more research.
Yeah, and what you said makes a lot of sense, because all his symptoms do not all fit the ARFID diagnosis.
Well, yeah, because the ARFID's diagnosis is one of those manufactured, made-up things that psychiatrists put together to make a label for it, so insurance companies will cover it as an illness. Otherwise,
correct,
it's hovering out there as something insurance companies won't treat because they won't treat non-illnesses. And so it's fortunate that psychiatrists are willing to make stuff up so you can get paid, get some reimbursement. But we really need to actually consider it a not psychiatric disorder and look for what the metabolism is, because there's always manifested metabolism with all these psychiatric disorders. We just don't look at them. The psychiatrist argument pushed back against, depression is, well, we can't biopsy the living person's brain. Well, you don't need to, because the living person's brain is connected to the body, and you can assess neurotransmitters in the whole body. You can assess inflammatory markers in the whole body. And so why bother with doing brain biopsies? Come on, expand your view to holistic human management rather than labeled disease management.
Where could I go? What next step could I look into the metabolic aspect?
I think a functional medicine doctor can help you look at all these metabolic things. I mean, there's an easy thing. Like, they do lots of these things, like Function Health. It's called Function Health. They do a vast amount of biometric studies or biomarker studies, and then give you a little bit of information about it. It's generic. It's relatively inexpensive. I think it's like $400 for two vast functional medicine laboratory panels a year. You don't get any direct management, but then you can take all that stuff to a functional medicine doctor, or just go find a good functional medicine doctor locally by going to ifm.org, Institute for Functional Medicine.org, and doing a search. Do a 25-mile or 50-mile search for a functional medicine doctor in your area and go talk with somebody.
Yes. Okay. Good deal. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much there, Ben, and best wishes with that. And we're down to about under 5 minutes, and I've got Ed and Jessica. Let's go to Ed.
Ed, okay.
Hello there.
Hello?
Ed, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, doctor?
Wonderful.
What
What you got?
My wife here is on all kinds of medication. She's got Perviral, and she's got Losartan, and she's got her statin, 40 milligrams of astatin, whatever it is. But anyway, she's also got a stent at Texas, Liberty Atom, Monorail, medicated, and it's been in there since 2011. We're just wondering about the CoQ10 and what you were saying about the soft plaque, the glue plaque versus the hard plaque. We know we got hard plaque going. We know all about that. But the soft plaque, we want to know more about that. And a CoQ10, we should do a CoQ10. You should do the coronary score, calcium score on that to get the Q10.
No, I don't think anybody should do coronary calcium scores unless they're planning to do the Clearly AI analysis with it. And then if you have the level of coronary disease your wife apparently does, I think a Clearly AI scan could be useful. I'm not sure how well they work when the person has a metal stent in there, so that needs to be discussed with the radiologist. But with all this metabolic stuff going on, several things are true. Everyone on a statin should take coenzyme Q10. I like the ubiquinol variety of it, not the ubiquinone variety. And so at least 100 milligrams, but somebody who's on has heart disease, studies have shown that 600 milligrams could do it. 5 to 10 milligrams per kilogram. If you weigh 60 kilograms, that's 600 milligrams. And if you're on 40 milligrams of a statin, you're getting the CoQ10 sucked right out of you. If you're not doing 8 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, you're not getting enough CoQ10 to put it back in.
Okay, so that would be like about 600 milligrams or so. Plus,
but I would start with 100 milligrams and see how you feel, see how you do, and then talk to your functional medicine doctor and then nail the dose that's good for you, because your functional medicine doctor will do a CoQ10 level for you.
Okay, a CoQ10 level. Okay.
Yep.
That's another test, right?
That is.
Okay.
So I would look for a Cleveland Heart Labs test and a CoQ10 level test and treat the stuff that's on there. To treat that, though, you probably have to go outside of cardiology, because I don't think I've ever met a cardiologist who's done a Cleveland Heart Labs test.
Okay. Cleveland Heart Lab test. Okay, got it. Cool, doctor. We thank you very much, and we listen to you every Monday and don't get a chance because we're on the road going to work. So we love listening to your abilities and your ableness to help us all out here. Happy Labor Day.
Thank you for that. I love doing it, and have a great day. I am going to switch over to emails now and read a couple of these quickly before we close out.
All right.
Oh, here's Tracy, who's asking if I would recommend a good gluten-free bread. Well, if you're living in Florida, I like 2 bakeries, Sammy's and DeLand, for commercially available product. And I don't always do their gluten-free because they change the recipe for some unknown reason. They have good, no gluten added breads, oatmeal and flax and millet and things like that, but they make it in a gluten factory. So if you're celiac, you can't do it. But if you just have some gluten sensitivity, you can do these no wheat added breads that are delicious. DeLand Bakery and Sammy, S-A-M-I. On that note, I think we're down to the wire. So I want to thank all you wonderful callers, because this has been a greatly engaged show. And thanks for putting up with my rant there for the first 20 minutes. Thank you, Bill, for producing for me once again. A great show. And Maddie, thanks for answering those phones.
Well, and thank you there, Doctor, for a wonderful show. And I wouldn't call it a rant. I think it was a very good explanation of the values of the unions. It is a Labor Day. And I'd like to thank all of our callers and our participants for, well, participating. Your calls make this show. And of course, Maddie, we could not have done the show without you. Thank you very much. And to everyone, stay healthy. You have been listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. Coming on up next is 5 minutes of NPR News, followed by the Sustainable Living Show, hosted today by Annie Ellis. So until next Monday at 10 a.m., thank you for supporting and listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa, your community conscious radio station. Stay safe, stay thoughtful, and